our episode of Spill the Tea, where we get behind the scenes in the apparel industry. And we are so happy that you're here with us today. Actually, it's tonight for us, but it is early in the morning for our very, very, very special guest, Emilia Musgrave. And she is going to say hello to everybody right now with her beautiful accent.
Hello.
Actually, this
Thank
is
you for
like
having me.
well, it's Guillermo, and we have Guillermo with his Spanish accent. So we've got three accents here. Hi, Guillermo.
Hola a todos.
And we are ready to spill the tea with Emilia. So, everybody, I am Meryl Catlin from Make a Tea Online, and Guillermo Ion is our graphic designer at Make a Tea Online. And we are going to bring you this really, really interesting conversation with Emilia. And I just want to start out by saying that we met because we share the same software platform, Deco Network. And we met through her coming on to our Apparel Masterminds class one night when she was quiet as a mouse. I don't even know if we saw your face because
I don't think so.
It was like midnight and she didn't want to wake up her kids.
Oh, that was funny.
Or the dogs or anything, right? And we became friends that way. So
we did, yes.
Yeah. So what a great place to be able to talk shop with somebody and compare notes and share experiences and help each other out if we can, and to meet another woman in printing, which is really, really a neat thing. So, Emilia, tell Guillermo and I and the rest of the world a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It is a great way to connect with other women in the print and embroidery business. So it is really good to be able to connect and share things online. So thank you again. So my name is Emilia. I run Oh Sweet Merch here in Perth, Australia. I am a mum of two and I've been happily married for 11 years. So, yeah.
Okay. Was that all about you? What about your hobbies?
So my hobbies, what do I like to do? We are a very much outdoor family, so anything, the beach is probably our number one at the moment because we are currently in summertime. We love going on hikes. We've got a Kelpie dog, so we love just being outside. Our two younger ones are very highly energetic, so anything outside that we do. I love my tennis. I actually played tennis in the States, so growing up in college tennis. So that's pretty much a bit about me. I just love all sports, really.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's awesome. So funny thing is I have tennis elbow right now and I don't play tennis. I do not play tennis. But I got it from lifting weights and pushing furniture. That's what I got it from. I was like, tennis elbow.
It's a tennis elbow.
And
but
it's
I'm
not
an
fun. It's not fun. Not fun. I was pushing a dresser and like, oh great.
Oh no.
Yeah. So anyway. Well, let's start out. Guillermo, you had the questions also, and before I get into the nitty-gritty here, is there anything you want to say or ask Emilia before I start?
Well, Emilia, nice to meet you again. I'm hoping to get to know you and know a little bit more about how you use the Deconago software there in Australia. Because I would like to start. I have a website also, and I would like to know a little bit more about how you can market your stuff in Australia and maybe in some other countries. I would like to know.
Awesome.
More about that,
yeah,
so.
I'd love to help if I can.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things, everyone who's listening, that Emilia and I kind of like both kind of got together about was having these affiliate stores. And having the affiliate stores really helps people with their merchandise and their brand actually sell more because you have other people who are out there selling for you. So it's a great opportunity for us to be able to get into new avenues, get into new directions of who our customer base is, because if your customer is out there selling, then you get to see all that stuff that you wouldn't normally have the time or the energy or maybe even know who to even to market to, whereas they do. And so I do want to ask you a little bit about that. But so here's my list of questions here for you.
Sure.
And let's talk a little bit about your journey. So
Sure.
how did you start on this great fun business model?
It is a great story. So grab some popcorn because it is. So like I said, I went to college tennis and I finished with a marketing degree. And then I came home and I was a little bit of that, that limbo stage where you've got the degree, but you don't know where to go. So I started off as a marketing assistant with a DVD and CD manufacturing company. And obviously now the CDs and DVDs are a little bit, obviously obsolete. Everyone started putting their data on reusable USB drives. And so from there, the clients started going, oh, do you do tote bags? Do you do lanyards? Do you do drink bottles? And then I was thinking, okay, well, why aren't they going to a promotional products company and why are they coming to us? So I think I always had that entrepreneur mindset. So my parents are from Europe and they came over to Australia and they were both sole traders. So they both worked for themselves. So I think I just had that ingrained in me. And so I knew I wasn't a 9 to 5. And so I pitched an idea to my then boss and I said, well, why don't we start a sister company with promotional products? And so I did the business the business plan. I sourced all the suppliers. And after a meeting, when something just doesn't sit right and you've got a gut feeling. And then at that time, my mum was in Europe and I told her how I felt and she just said, well, why don't you go on your own? Why don't you go out on your own? You've done all the hard work. Why don't you do it? If it doesn't work, then you just find another job. And I just was like, well, yeah, let's try it. So as you can see back then, 2009, I started my own promotional products company. And still to this day, it's still running successfully. And so from there, again, the exact same thing. My clients were like, oh, well, do you do polo shirts? Do you do T-shirts? And, going through the website that had thousands of drink bottles and keychains, no one wanted to see all of those things when you wanted specifically a polo shirt or, a printed T-shirt. So again, at the same time as I set up another sister company called Think Embroidery and Print. And again, that's going successfully today. And then so what that happened, and then my target market was generally corporate clients only at that time. And then obviously COVID hit. And then back then I was outsourcing a lot of the printing and the embroidery. And so when COVID hit, a lot of my contractors either blew up or they shut down because of the lack of business. And so it only really happened since COVID that I took on embroidery machines and screen printing. And then so those two businesses pretty much quietened down because, again, corporate stopped the no events. No one needed promotional items for events and whatnot. And then I started what we now call, it's Oh Sweet Mama. So Oh Sweet Mama was actually my own brand because we had a lot of stock. We had, machines needing to be run. And so as everybody else in the world, let's start our own brand, our own clothing apparel line. So I started with just simple mama slogans, and it was embroidered strong and our signature sleeves back then, so 2020. And it just said, you got this mama. And back then, I never knew about Instagram, no social media, no nothing, because all my corporate clients were just, here's my email, here's my logo, and we processed it that way. So I jumped on Instagram and I started posting some jumpers, and next thing I know, it just snowballed and it got really popular, and that's what you see on my social media today. And then I just grew a community of women who loved my jumpers because during COVID, you needed to get through. You needed, you got this mama, you can get through and whatnot. And then COVID for us in Australia was a bit tricky. So we're in Western Australia, and then the rest of the world, the rest of Australia, kind of just kept on going. But we, as what are they called? Completely forgot. Now you have to edit this. Our premier, that's it. He decided to shut all of Western Australia off for a good 10 months. So we couldn't go over to the different states. We couldn't fly. We couldn't do anything. And so we actually really did well during COVID. So once our borders started opening, everyone was like, well, Emilia, can you put my logo on a jumper? Can you do this? Or the events are starting. And because I grew this beautiful community of women, I had to then decide, do I move them over to my other businesses who were just your boring high-vis work shirts and, all of those things, or do I keep this community and highlight all of these women in small businesses who survived COVID and who are still thriving? So then I was like, well, no, I'm going to pivot here and change Oh Sweet Mama to Oh Sweet Merch. And that's where we are today. So what you see on my social media is now highlighting all these women in small businesses through their merch and their own clothing brands.
Oh, that is an awesome story.
There you go.
So you actually learned how to embroider in 2020? You didn't know how to embroider before that?
Had no idea. And this is how the story went. I literally got a cold email from Tajima Australia saying, here's a work from home package. It had one machine. It had a couple of hoops. It had the threads. And I think I already had my screen printing press. We have a little Vastex where I already had that, but it just wasn't I loved it, but it just, when something just pulls you in and you're like, yeah, that's my jam. And so I was going between a Brother machine and Tajima, and I don't know why I chose Tajima, but I did. And next thing I know, I've got this machine and I'm looking at it going, what do I do? Where do I start? But I think my mum being a commercial seamstress, so she did a lot of she had a workshop in our own backyard back in the day. And I think her being with sewing machines and whatnot, I think now looking back at it, that was my little subtle way of going, that's my passion. And so it was just, and I think I just had my second child. And, obviously your sleepless nights or whatever. So next thing I'm on YouTube and just learning. I just watched and watched and watched all these videos. I jumped onto Facebook groups, which are predominantly all the US. And I just read the comments. I just read what the person's problem was, and I would read the comments to go, okay, how can I do that? And so I just trialed and errored. I have this huge box here in the warehouse now, and I call it my box of opportunities, because they're the ones that I've stuffed up, all my errors, but I keep them because it reminds me, hey, Emilia, this is where you started. So it was just all self-taught.
Do you still have that machine, the first one?
I now have 4. I still have that first, and I then bought my second one, and then it was only last year that I ended up going to Tajima and I said I need another 2. So yeah, we've built up to 4 machines now.
Nice. So are your clients all women-based clients?
Yeah, that's right. We're starting to see a little bit more the males coming in, but I mean, we're open to anybody. It just so happened that we started with women, and then what it is I literally just share onto my stories the behind the scenes of their orders getting made, and then they share, and then it just a ripple effect. And it's not even me doing that on purpose. It's not a strategy. It's just I love what I do, and I love seeing their excitement going, oh, I've worked so hard in my business. My logo is now on a sweatshirt, or it's now on a T-shirt, and that pride that they feel when wearing that shirt, and then me being part of that small journey is just that's just my why. I see that it's more than money for a business for me to see that we've survived COVID. We've done all that to now then seeing them expand or getting into a warehouse like we did. So
Right. That's great. I mean, I know that when COVID happened, I believe Australia was the first country that shut down.
We
I
did,
think.
yeah. We did really like. I mean, obviously, being we're around the sea, so it's just there was nothing that that we just had to shut down. That was the way we had to isolate from the world. And to be honest, like we complain that our flights are so expensive going everywhere or whatnot, but it was actually, to me, and it might be, I might open up a can of worms. I think the way Australia handled COVID, I think it did really well with the numbers that we had and whatnot, and getting through as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. That's good. I honestly never. I was at work every day. I didn't stop working any day.
Yeah.
But we were making stickers. We were making takeout menus for restaurants. We were making so many masks. Everybody wanted masks. So
We did masks. Yeah.
yeah. In fact, I was like
Yeah.
going through some stuff over the weekend. I'm like, do I need this? Should I throw it away? I don't know what to do with it. What do you do with all that stuff? But it's hopefully we won't need them again, and hopefully we're past it. But you never know, right? You never know.
Yeah.
But
What I loved. Sorry, go ahead.
I think you're kind of like, when I look at the map, it almost looks like Perth is like alone. Like you're
We
the
are.
only city over there on that side. And
Yeah.
how long does it take to get across to
Melbourne? It's I think 3.5, and then to Sydney it's about 4.5. But if you drive within our state, at least 12 hours, you're still in our same state. It's so huge compared to the rest, but we're very much a mining state. So if you in our state, it's predominantly for mining and fly in, fly out type of work. But yeah, if you drive, you're still in our state. Whereas if you're in Melbourne or Sydney, you can drive a couple of hours and you've crossed the border. So yeah, we are very, very much isolated, but yeah.
When you say 3 hours, you mean by driving or flying?
Oh, sorry, by plane. By plane.
Oh,
3.5.
Okay.
By plane,
that's
and
like,
then
that's like us
to Sydney.
going to Colorado or even like Las Vegas. Like when I fly to Las Vegas, it's like 4 hour flight. Yeah,
that's what I love. I love that's about the States, that you can go and travel so many different states and see so much, so many different things. Whereas here in WA, we're just very much, on our own.
You're isolated. So how do you get merchandise? Like what suppliers do you buy from, and do you get the same stuff that we get?
I think you guys, all your merch is just next level. I think the US, you're the number one, and we're closely following all your different techniques, all your things. I know the Impression Expo, I think it was back in January. I think a lot of suppliers, a lot of screen printers from our end here in Australia go over there specifically to see and keep up to date. So we predominantly use AS Color. AS Color is our number one brand here in Australia. So if you say AS Color to every screen printer, they will know. It's just the quality of the garments, the ease of getting them. So they originally are from New Zealand, but they have a distribution centre in Melbourne. So we can place an order in the morning, and then the next day, even flying over from Melbourne to WA, an express bag, we could get that easily. So yeah, AS Color would be our number one. We also have Gildan, and we've got those will probably be your main two suppliers. But then from Gildan, you've got your Comfort Colors and you've got your American Apparel and whatnot. But yeah, predominantly AS Color. But then we've also got our other suppliers who do your polo shirts and your work shirts and high vis and whatnot.
Right. So you don't have Sanmar. You don't buy from Sanmar or
No.
Do you buy direct those? Well, AS Color sells direct. And
exactly.
Do you buy direct from Gildan?
We buy. Yep. So you do have to create an account with them. So you do have to have an ABN. You do have to show that you are a decorator. But yeah, so AS Color work off different price tiers. So depending on how much you spend with them per year, for example. But yeah, all of our wholesale accounts are direct.
Okay, got it. So I just opened up an account with AS Color
Great.
because you posted something on Instagram, and I was like,
Hey,
that shirt looks great, and I called them
awesome.
up. I called them up. They were at the impression show. I didn't go
They
there.
were, yeah.
But they were there, and I actually saw them behind Zach Dewhurst from Deco Network.
Yep,
He was
yep.
walking around the show, and I was like, what is that behind him? Is that AS Color?" And it
That's
was. I
magic.
like stopped. I like froze the screen to make sure that that's what I saw. And
Love
so he
it.
just thanks Zach for walking by there. Maybe they were by the Deco Network booth,
Yeah.
and then I called them up the next day, and I'm like, okay, so I created an account. I have a whole list of the merchandise. I haven't ordered it yet. I'm going to order it tomorrow. I was going to order it today, but I'm going to order it
You love
tomorrow.
them. They're
Samples it.
really such a good quality of blank to embroider. Screen printing is beautiful. So yeah, you really love it. But that's why I love it, because you've seen me on Instagram and that's how it all rolls, doesn't it? It's just the power of
Yeah,
social media. It's amazing.
yeah, yeah. I love your social media, and all
Oh,
of
thank
that
you.
is all self taught also.
It is, yeah. So, yeah, I feel like I don't have to try. I just feel like I'm just that vehicle in highlighting what my clients have already achieved. Like it's their design. So we don't actually create any of the designs. We're not a graphic designer. So if we have clients who come to us and need some sort of help, we direct them to close graphic designers that we use. And then they create their designs, and then they'll come back to us to print and brand. So I just feel like I'm just highlighting what they do, but I feel like I always had a creative spark in me. So like different angles of photos or the reels, but I mean, I've had to learn social media from myself, really. So I scroll through a few things and I'll save it and I'll try and put my own spin on it. But yeah, I think it's just all trial and error. But I find that if it's coming from a passion, it's so much easier than trying to copy somebody else or trying to do something that's not authentic. So for me, I find that it's so simple because people actually want to see their t-shirts being made. People want to see, how the embroidery works, or why did you use this color thread or whatnot. So for me, just to stand there within the embroidery machine, I think it speaks for itself.
Right, right. There was a couple of really neat things that they had at the Impressions Expo, and that I saw on other people's pages, and I was like just watching the equipment is really like exactly what you're saying.
It's
Watching the equipment.
mesmerizing, isn't it?
Oh my God, yeah. I love it. I mean, we have direct to garment machines and direct to film machines,
Hmm.
and eco solvent machines here, and sublimation, and well, and my hands are full of ink right now. Like my nails are
Yeah,
full of ink. That's just the way it is.
that's just the way. Yeah, you'll find ink everywhere.
Yeah. It's great. It's great. Okay, so I'm going to tell you something. What I learned once from a good friend of mine, who is a very energetic and very like A type personality, and he does these seminars and webinars and everything. And he told me that that nobody's really an Instagram or social media expert because it changes so quickly.
It does,
So,
yes.
right. So when we're trying, like we don't have to like worry so much about posting something and then someone's going to see it because you posted it 3 days ago. That nobody's an ex. No, it's too new and it changes.
Yeah.
So what we're doing is just what all the experts are doing as well. So you are just up there, just like the experts are.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah,
I
just
agree.
keep posting
Yeah,
until you go viral.
Right,
what was that?
right.
Sorry?
Just post until you go viral. So
That's right. Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Okay, so obviously this question about natural, you already answered that. So you are a natural at social
Thank
media. So
you.
so what about technology? So how has technology, when you started back back a while ago when you were
Mm.
selling CDs and all that, um, how has technology advanced, especially in the decorating business for you? And where do you see
Um,
yourself?
Yeah, good question. So back then it was a much simpler process. So my brand was just on a simple Wix website. So I just posted. It was like pretty much the same as Shopify. The orders would come through, and I would do a hard copy. I'd print that out and go right, and I would line them up with the garment or whatnot, and just process it that way. But then obviously once the main big orders would come through, it just that wasn't the system that worked for us. And so I think I don't even know how Deco Network came about, but it did, and it has helped me to a point where if somebody was looking at my shop, they would think we would be running a business. So they get the artwork approvals, they get internal notes to say, hey, your order has been shipped, or your stock has been processed. But then there's pretty much just me who's maintaining all of this system. So to have somebody who has just started out, it's such a good platform to keep everything organized, and everything in its place, and everything is, chronologically ordered, or, and I do have a VA that works with me, and so she takes care of all like the wholesale quotes or whatnot. So when she processes an order, everything is there. So if she's not there one day, I could log into Deco Network and say, oh, yep, your order was processed on so-and-so date or whatnot. And you don't have to have such a big business anymore. You don't have to have you don't have to hire all these different people when Deco Network just has everything in one place.
Mm-hmm. Right. Like I know, so Guillermo, he's in Venezuela. He's not here in the office. And it's incredible to be able to run a business and have him go do the artwork, create sites, upload
Exactly.
artwork, do whatever, create his own site. I mean, he created his own site. I think more so he can learn more even about the sites. But now he has his own site, and
That's great.
And I think that it is just, the technology has definitely helped us, and definitely helped us stay on track, because I don't know about your shop, but I could be here working on something and I get 5 people coming in interrupting me all the time, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
We want people to walk in the front
The
door.
walk-ins.
The walk-ins, right. And but it's all there. It's all there, and like you're saying, people get their bill, they get their artwork, they can see it, and it's all good. But what I'm talking about is technology from 10 years ago. How that has changed, because even Deco Network has changed throughout the past bunches of years. I think I started with them about maybe 10 years ago.
Yeah,
And
wow.
definitely the software definitely changed. But I know, like, for what was it like for you before you even had software to work with?
Well, to be honest, I don't really think that I was running a business without software, if that makes sense. But I would say from an artwork point of view, everyone relied on graphic designers. Everyone had the correct vector files. Everybody had their Pantone colors. And now, obviously, with COVID and the explosion of Canva, and don't get me wrong, I think Canva has its place in the world, I guess, like for your digital content, your flyers, your templates and whatnot. But when it comes to designing artwork or your logo on Canva, a lot of things are now getting missed, or they don't want to pay that extra amount of money for the graphic designer, so they go ahead on Canva. But what they don't know is that Canva trademarks a lot of their elements or their specific fonts that are just exclusive to Canva. So when you output to a PNG and you enlarge your PNG, no one is understanding that process anymore. And then they get frustrated at screen printers, for example, that, oh, but I've created this, why can't you use it? And then they think that, we're just trying to get money out of them to go, oh, we need to recreate it as a vector. So there's a lot of education now. I feel like we've had to move a lot back to the basics and tell them what is a Pantone color, what is, because large corporate businesses, they were able to to get a graphic designer to create a style guide. Here's your Pantone colors. Here's everything else that way. So when you get your smaller businesses who have just started out, Canva is their perfect solution. But hex codes aren't Pantone colors, and so when you get your paid version of Canva and you are able to export to an SVG, a lot of those elements are not exported or they're not vectorized because they're exclusive to Canva. So I feel like that's been a huge hurdle for us. And I find, and you probably see on our social media pages, is that we have had to go back to educate. I think one of our email newsletters just went out today talking about Pantone colors, and it's, and I feel like, it has slowed the business down, because obviously we don't print anything until approval is the proof is approved, and then when you have to go back and forth to go, okay, well, your artwork's not vector. Oh, why isn't it not vector? And then so I think the technology these days, from going from the graphic design point of view to Canva has definitely changed in that sense. But with software itself, I haven't had a chance to really see what an old school business of just paperwork or, everything filed, how that would be experienced really.
Right. So it's really, I love what you're saying about Canva, and Guillermo, we need to take that and make that one section that Emilia was saying as a short and just put that everywhere. So we have the
That
same
will be the
problem.
first thing I will do.
Yeah, and people, they exactly what you said. They think that we're trying to get more money out of them or whatever, and they don't understand. And and yes, Canva. I say the same thing day in and day out. Canva is great for social media. It's great for internally doing something. You want to share something or make something super quick and post it. It's great. In fact, Guillermo and I were just putting together a style guide for one of our customers because their assistant was doing everything in Canva. I begged her to get Adobe Illustrator for her, and she worked it, and she did. But I still think she's using Canva.
Canva.
Yeah, probably.
Trying to explain how someone said, well, this is the hex color, I gave you the hex color. Well, we're not printing in hex colors. No.
Yeah.
The hex color's got a lot of light behind it, so everything looks brighter. They don't understand it. So here, I say it all the time. Guillermo says it, Emilia says it. People, please listen to us.
Yes, and I do. I use this logo as an example. So my husband created this. He's actually a graphic designer by trade, and so what I do when I have walk-ins, I use this as an example and say, if this was a PNG file, this would be all pixelated. It will be blurred because you only create your artwork in that specific size. So as a vector, if I enlarge this, what it is now, it keeps its resolution. So if you wanted to put it on a bus stop, if you wanted to put it on a bus, a vector file is what you need. Because if it's a PNG file and you're happy with it, then you would get a pixelated outcome.
Mm-hmm. Right. I don't know. Do they still get it though? I don't know.
No.
I don't know if they still. So
it's just an ongoing education. I think that it would just
It's forever. We have a customer, and she had given me some stuff, and it was like this big, and of course I had to make it into a big poster, and I had a day to do it, and so I printed it, and she looked at it, she goes, "Oh, it's beautiful," and I'm like, "No, it's not. It's not beautiful."
I get that all the time. Yes, what you think is, and I get a lot of that with embroidery. I'll get like a stitch here and there that's not up to my standards, and I would be like stressing over it, and it just I would either ship it or I would tell the client and just go, look, this is what it is. And then they'll get it and they're like, oh, it's amazing. It's beautiful. So it's just I think because we're around it so many days and you see your level and go, what's their level? Because they have no idea what a pixelated image is or what, so yeah.
They don't even know what the word means.
No.
Isn't Canva from Australia? So you need to know how to work with
she is. Wasn't she a uni student? I think she was a uni student, and she just she started it from her living room, I think, and she was a graphic design uni student, and she wanted a way to help other people. So I'll take that credit.
Maybe we need to start the anti-Canva software, and we'll to do like really good graphic design, come up with a really good name for it, and
Maybe.
yeah,
Or just
and
have something exported as everything gets exported as vector, but at the end of the day, you have to monitorize everything. So
yeah, right. We could be called only Vector, just Vector.
.com.
Right, vectorthis.com. Right.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll make it as big as Canva. We can become as rich as Miss Canva
Gold.
is.
We can retire tomorrow.
Right. Actually, that's another good point. So, if you could retire tomorrow, would you?
I probably would. If you asked me today, I probably would. But I do. Like, I did have a break over Christmas. So so Christmas for us in Australia is over summer. So pretty much all businesses close end of December, and a lot of suppliers won't come back until mid-January. And so I made it that I closed my shops when my kids got out of school for the summer. And I mean, just with the warehouse, it's hot. It's just a hot box here. So we took the time off Christmas, and I remember the first day back, and I just switched on my machines, and it was just something else. It was like, I've missed you. It's a weird feeling, like when you're in the trenches, and like, for example, I've got an order of 200 caps at the moment. When you're seeing those logos, like it becomes monotonous. And then when you have that break, and you're like, oh, this is why I love my job. So yeah, it was a good sound to switch those embroidery machines back on.
Good. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so let's talk about this. What we talked about before, for kind of briefly. So in the United States, printing is still like male dominated. Even when you go to the trade shows, you go over, they won't talk to you. They're looking for the guy. Is it the same way by you?
Exactly the same here in Australia. I don't think, like, I remember with your question, and I was thinking about it, I don't think I know another print shop or embroidery shop that is female led, other than like your home businesses that do the personalized gifts and whatnot. I don't see, like, and so when I walk here out to the reception, I think a lot of the walk-ins think that I'm just the receptionist, kind of waiting to see if anybody else comes out. And I even think I started with my emails as just an account manager, because if I had like founder or CEO or, you know, business owner, they wouldn't take you seriously at all. But yeah, and I think that's probably why we are so successful with the community of women here that we've done at Oh Sweet Merch, because they know that's the connection that we have. It's like, oh, Emilia is doing my job, or Emilia started off with a brand herself, so she knows what she's talking about, you know. So, and that's why I find with like Think Embroidery and Print, it's very much your high vis vest, it's your work shirts, it's your, you know, and then you take those photos of it, and it's just like, oh, you know, it's quite the same stuff. But whereas when you work with women, there's a lot more creativity. There's a lot more, I don't know. It's just it's a different kind of connection than what you get with the men in the industry. I feel like there's just stock standard. Oh, here's your logo. Oh, yeah, we'll just print it, you know. Whereas with us, and I'm sorry, you know, with women, we try and push that creativity boundary as such. We go, okay, well, maybe that might work on that color jumper, but how about we do 3D embroidery on this jumper, you know? So, yeah. And I find that, like, when I tag my suppliers in social media, they're reluctant to share that. But when a male screen printer will tag that supplier, it's shared within seconds. And, yeah, it's quite deflating. Yeah, it's quite deflating, but at the same time, you kind of remember you have to stick in your own lane and go, what my work is just as good as everybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I remember when I first started, I was delivering, because I started in paper printing, and I would go to customers and deliver envelopes and letterhead and whatever in the baby carriage. So the baby would be in the baby carriage, and I had a box of printing in the carriage with them, and that's how I did it. So, you know, I assume that's probably, you know, I wasn't taken so seriously back then because I was, be bopping around with a baby and a carriage
Yeah.
and delivering things. And it didn't look like as professional as, a FedEx driver delivering it or a DHL delivering it. But, I had to do what I had to do back then. So,
I think women who like and particularly mums, I think we know the value of an hour, or we know the value of like, oh, we need to get this done before nap time, or you find that extra spurt, I don't know, that surge of energy to go, I'm just as good as the male industry. I can do this. So my team here are also mothers. And I just say to them, I say, as long as the work gets done, I don't care if you're doing it at 7:00 in the morning or you're doing it at 8:00 at night time. As long as the work gets done, then I know life happens. It's just, yeah, I don't know. It's a weird feeling that I feel like as long as the work gets done, I feel the women are just as important as the male dominated industry, if that makes sense.
yeah, yeah. Well, I know that sometimes I still even get insulted when people, since a lot of DIYers are out there these days,
Yes.
people still come to me and they'll know what I do and they say, "Oh, so do you work out of your house?" And when they say that, I shouldn't. I don't know why. It's like I revert back to how it was years ago when I was looked down,
Yes.
when I wasn't given the respect as a business owner that I kind of feel like I do now more, but because I'm not walking around with a stroller now, but yeah, I revert back to that girl that I was back then. I'm like, damn it, like no, so my answer is like, no, I don't think my machines can fit in my house. That's
Yeah. Oh, that's a good way of saying it.
like
Yeah.
I get pissed at them, which is like not
Yeah.
really good because they're not doing anything wrong. They're
Mm.
just assuming that I'm just like a sweet little girl that's doing this for a fun job because it's in the creative field. That's what I think. I think of when you're in the creative field, it's hard to be taken as seriously as if we were a doctor or a lawyer or
Yes.
something like
Yeah.
that.
I
But
agree. And I find it's so strange how you think by getting that warehouse kind of differentiates yourself between the home business, because I'm doing exactly the same work that what I'm doing here than what I was doing in one of my bedrooms. And just like you said, that's a great way of looking at it, going, well, I could be at home, but now my machines and all my stock don't fit in my house. So that's, showing you that you're expanding and what you're doing is working. So, yeah.
right. Guillermo, how about you? Do you feel that being in the creative field that people don't take you as seriously as being a doctor or a lawyer?
100%. I mean, even by myself, I've been I work from home from more. I've been working from home since 6 years, almost 6 years or more, even before COVID. So when I told people that, yeah, what is your work in my home? I just woke up and go to work. People not take you seriously. Like you're here, and I don't know, doing nothing, or your work is not important, or I don't know. Not everybody takes you seriously, and especially if you are a graphic designer, it's like, oh, you're a graphic
100%.
designer. Oh, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
good one. And you have to study for that? No Canva? No, okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I understand. I understand 100% what both of you are saying right now.
Oh, my husband's a graphic designer, and I've seen it 100%. So he works for a local government, and the amount of stuff, because he's a one-man band in the local government, so they have to outsource a lot of things when he can't take on that job. And the stuff that comes back to him after being outsourced is crazy, because I think that your industry is definitely a losing battle, because everybody can just go on Fiverr now, can't they? They can go get a logo for $5, or they can get we get the amount of people that we have seen actually pay graphic designers, but essentially they're just going on Canva and they're sending the outputted file as a PNG, but nobody knows that you need a vector file, you need all of those. And then I just feel like that industry needs to be highlighted a lot more. But yeah, I feel that you have to justify your prices, you have to justify working from home, or you have to justify that, you know, coming through me is a lot better than going through somebody on Fiverr. Yes, they can do their job, but yeah, I feel like you're very much always on defending yourself and going, why am I a graphic designer? Or, you know, why am I charging minimum $100 for a simple logo, you know, when I can just get it on Fiverr? So
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah,
I
and
don't
why
think
not do it for
$5.
free?
yeah. Or why isn't it just $5? Why can't I just get it, you know? So
Yeah,
I
don't
think,
think it's
yeah, graphic
$5
designers are
anymore.
very undervalued.
Yeah, and I like I said, I don't think it's $5 anymore on Fiverr. I think
No,
it may start at
they
that,
need to
or
change their name.
yeah, right. My son is a graphic designer also, and his
Mm.
wife is a graphic designer also,
Oh,
and
wow.
and and they're you know, we're all a very creative family, and
Mm.
but he works for an automotive aftermarket company. So he does their graphic design and their social media, and there's more to graphic design than just designing logos. There's
Exactly.
Guillermo does more work than just designing logos. In fact, I think we hardly ever get logo design work. I mean, once in a while we
Mm.
do, but that's probably fun. The fun stuff is the logo design stuff.
Yeah.
Mostly it's all the technical stuff, and that's what Canva or Fiverr cannot do. And that's why we need graphic designers. And graphic designers have to know math, they have to know color, they have to know right brain, left brain, they have to know the whole brain to put everything
Yeah.
together to be able to come out with a professional product. So I mean, I think I definitely have a lot of respect for graphic designers because they're
Mm.
creative and they're technical. So you got to be smart and creative at the same time.
Mm. And don't you find that the more logos you get sent through, you can just tell when they're Canva templates, and
Oh
you're
yeah.
just like, oh, here's another Canva
Yeah.
logo, or here's an this. But it's funny, like from our end, is like they want to start a brand, a clothing line. They want to sell out merch. They want to go viral on TikTok, but then they give you a Canva logo, and it's like there's more, like you said, there's more to it. There's more, the color wheel, what color works with that specific apparel. There's, do I do a large logo? Do I do a half tone? Do I do a, there's so much more to just sticking a logo on a t-shirt and hoping it sells. And then they get surprised as to why their design doesn't work. And I had another lady previously, and she created her artwork for a t-shirt, and it had like the type of so they were like a Pilates studio or something, and they had the different types of Pilates that they did on their logo. And it's just like, well, from my way of looking at it, I would put those things on a promotional flyer and leave your apparel to show what your business logo is and make it subtle and simple and whatnot. No, I want everything on the t-shirt, thank you. And it's like, okay, I'm just suggesting, and then they come back and it's like, well, my t-shirts aren't selling, or this is not selling. It's like, well, you kind of have to look at it and go, you can't fill a t-shirt with 10,000 different designs. You have to see what works on that t-shirt. Does that t-shirt work with somebody wearing jeans? Does it work with somebody wearing white sneakers? Or, so yeah, like you said, there's a lot more than just a Canva template.
Right. Especially with embroidery, because you need something that could actually hold a stitch. You can't have the super thin lines. I mean, you do beautiful work, but you still can't hold those little teeny lines that they, a little dot here, a little dot there, or have an entire, skeleton shape of a Leonardo da Vinci's whatever on a
exactly. Yeah, and that's what I find on Deco Network. So, obviously you would know our online designer tool, you can upload anything. And so when somebody uploads, like you said, let's say a Da Vinci artwork, we have to go back to them and say that's not suitable for embroidery, or so I actually outsource all my digitizing. I feel like that's a whole trade, just like graphic design, that you need to learn. So when I outsource, I tell them what material it's going on. I tell them what size it needs to be. And then they just either come back to me and say, that's not working, or you need to do a different satin stitch, you need to use a fill stitch. And I find that that's what differentiates myself, because I know from the digitizing file you're going to get quality work, because I have a full-time team that specializes in just digitizing. And I feel like, you know, like you said, with embroidery, you could have this logo, but it might not look right. So it's more than just the machine. It's more than, you know, you need to know the type of needle, what size needle are you going to use, what size backing, what kind of backing are you going to use for the T-shirt. So, yeah, we generally suggest, like if you go onto our online designer tool, we only have a specific size that you can use across the T-shirts, because we suggest and say if you have a large logo, you're going to get puckering on your T-shirt, or you're going to get holes from the stitches or whatnot. So it's a whole different, ball game into letting people know what's going to work and what's not going to work.
What's the largest embroidery you have done? Largest size?
Good question. So our largest hoop is only 20 centimeters high and 30 centimeters width. So we generally say if you're looking at a T-shirt, your prime real estate is probably maximum of 24 centimeters before it starts curving onto the thing. So I don't think I've done a large one as such. The largest one I've probably done is, and you'll probably see it on my social media, it was a large 3D embroidered logo. And then that's probably one of the questions that you've written here, was that what was one of the challenges that you came across? And I think that would probably be one of my challenges, because I hadn't known back then, I hadn't known that a certain satin stitch had to have only been like, say, 1 centimeter. And I think it was more than 1 centimeter. So I think the largest was probably about 25 centimeters to maybe about 20 centimeters. But yeah, we don't really deal with such large ones, because it's quite, our hoop size is not the largest on our machines.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I mean, sometimes I see these like big, like the back of a motorcycle jacket, you know.
Which is great. But then sometimes of those would be patches. So then they would sew that onto the back of the jacket.
Right, right. Sometimes we get martial arts uniforms, and they want those things embroidered on the back of their gi, and like I said, no, well, let's print it. I don't even want to go there with that, because it would probably cost a fortune to embroider like this big on the back of a uniform, you know.
Yeah.
Well, so Emilia, what is the process do you have? Because I was looking through your Instagram account and I saw several projects especially with the caps.
Yep.
That you have different techniques.
Yes.
Not just embroidery.
No.
So what's the
process?
Right. What's the process on that? Because I don't know much about embroideries, and I know that people won't go to you. Oh, I want this in my cap with first with a needle, then go to the circuit machine and cut this and place it. How do you go from one design and to know what styles and techniques are you going to use?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So the clients, because we're not graphic designers, the clients would generally give us their logo, and then they would say, for example, oh, I want this logo on a hat. But then I would say, okay, well, your maximum height on a hat is only 5 centimeters. So I think, like, coming back to the whole being creative, I like to push the creative envelope and say, okay, well, this logo could work, but how about we try it as an applique, or why don't we try it as a 3D embroidery? So I think a lot of the clients already know what they kind of want, but then I just have to jiggle it a little bit to finalize it and make sure, hey, if you do it this way, I think it will sell out a lot better. So generally the people would come to me with their logo. I would then say, okay, it's going onto a T-shirt. I outsource that to the digitizer, tell them that it's going on a T-shirt, or tell them that it's going on a cap, because every logo has to be digitized correctly for that garment. So with a hat, it can't be a flat digitized file. It needs to know that it's going to be curved, for example. And then what I do is I then put a stitch out. I do a stitch out on our machines to make sure that all the needles are correct, the size of needles. So when you're doing such smaller designs like fine lettering, it needs to have a smaller needle size compared to a large lettering, which you can get away with a number 11 needle, for example. So the process pretty much is the client will send me their logo.
Right.
I would then go to them and say, hey, yes, that's perfect. We process the order as normal. I would do a stitch out. I send them a photo and say, are you happy with this? And then once they're happy with it, then I run the whole order. Or I would say, okay, perhaps let's try an applique. And then I would do an applique, and then again, they get a proof, and then they get approved, and then we go ahead and do the mass production. So there's a few different steps in place, but yeah.
Do you do that when you have an order of, let's say, just 12 pieces? Do you still go through giving them a sample? Do you give them an actual sample, or is that an email digital?
No,
sample?
just an image. And for me as well, I have a file for embroidery. So if I wasn't here, for example, and Erin was coming in the next day, she can go to that file, and it's literally a old school printed out piece of paper. And I put the stitch out there, so then that way we know what thread color we used previously, what position it was on the mighty hoop, for example, where the hoop placement was. So just for my personal preference, I do a stitch out for everything, because that machine, and that's the joy and complexity of embroidery. So not only is it just the machine, you have to know the tension of the thread. So if I just ran that machine, I'm in a risk of maybe damaging a couple of hats. And then if that order is an urgent order and I have to then order more stock from a supplier, then it pushes me back. So it's just my personal preference. And I find that a lot of people prefer that process, knowing that they're going to get a stitch out, because when you're uploading something on the Deco Network Designer tool, a print looks completely different to what an embroidered logo looks like, because you have to, you have to cover the whole stitching of what it would look like. So for embroidery, I find that, doing a stitch out, and then I pop that in the file, and then that way I know 6 months down the track when they want to reorder, and I've completely forgotten to write down what thread color, because there's, like you said in a Pantone book, like this is all of our thread colors. Like, what blue would you like? So
Right.
for me, writing down their thread colors, all of those different things, I know that every order is going to be consistent and they're going to get the same thing every single time.
Right. When you look at those colors, it's like going to a candy store and seeing all.
Oh, yeah, it
It's
is.
funny because I've got my Pantone book right here.
Yes, there you go. Yeah. But I would
This is
say,
so
though,
old.
that it is, yeah.
It's like all
But I would
warped.
have to say, like, my digitizing cost covers an actual sample stitch out. So for me, yes, it does take the time to do it, but then I know that I'm 100% correct on that, and I know that my time has been covered by that digitizing cost. Because once I've written all of that down, my clients don't then pay the digitizing cost, provided that artwork is the same size, it's exactly the same file, because then that way I've already written all the information. I can simply start that machine on the second job and don't have to do a stitch out on that one, because I know everything is correct, and then I just run that machine.
Do they typically come in and sit with you and pick a color from your book?
My walk-ins, I do. I try and keep them here, and I've got I don't know if you can see, but I have a wall chart of all my thread colors with all the color, the codes and whatnot. So before they leave the shop, I ask them and say, pick a color, because then that way, when I'm doing an image or a photo, it can change with the lightness and whatnot. So yeah, I tend to, when they email me their logo, I give them a list of all the requirements that I need to give them, like Pantone colors, a vector file. Whereas if they come here, then they pick. So with those thread colors, and like you would say, there's a list of all the thread colors and what the Pantone color matches. Mm-hmm. So if someone says to me, I want a Pantone color 189, I would go to 189, and then I would find that matching thread color to 189.
Okay, and what threads do you use? Is that Madeira?
I use Madeira classic rayons, yeah. So there is other ones. The classic 40s, they do have a shine to them, but I find that Madeira, to be honest, I haven't actually tried anything else, but I just, have really loved the quality of the Madeira, and it's just easy for us to purchase online everything through Tajima. So if I know that they're using it, then I know it works on my machine. Then I know it's good quality.
Right. That's always good to just kind of stick with the materials
Yeah,
that your machine was built to utilize, as opposed to throwing in some other stuff that you don't
getting
know
some
what's going to happen.
cheapo ones from Amazon or something. Yeah.
Right. Have you had trouble getting any parts for or needles or parts for your machines or anything?
No. So, and this is why I went with Tajima to begin with, because I knew, and again, one of your questions said that, what's one of the misconceptions I think you wrote, that embroidery is easy. You just buy a machine and it should just work. But I bought the Tajima machines because of the after service, the aftercare. Like I have Tajima on speed dial. They're in Melbourne, so they're at the moment they're 3 hours in front. And I can call them up and say, my machine has stopped, and it's been many times, and they would walk me through and say, okay, press this button, press this, whatever, and it works. So it's not really easy. I mean, it's not really hard to get. So I order all my consumables online. I buy all my needles. I buy all my thread online with them, and it gets shipped out really quickly. Actually, one of my lasers, so when you start your order to trace it, it has a laser on there. And I called them up one day and I said, oh, my laser has gone. Is it something that you can ship? And then I think within 2 days it was sent. And I've got a tech service guy here in WA that works for Tajima, and he comes out and he just services my machines whenever I needed to. And so, yeah, that's why I've gone with Tajima. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all just not the machine.
Yeah, I look at that. I look at businesses like that, companies like that supply us as almost like strategic partners, because they really are the ones that are there for us for our business. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to do what we can do and do it so well. Because you're not a technician. You're working. Well, maybe you are, but
It's a
you're
whole
working
different trade.
running business, right? You
Yeah.
probably that could be your next job in your another life. You could be a technician after all this stuff that you know. But
Yeah.
so all right. So let's see. So I guess that's kind of part of the question about approaching like with client consultation. So when they come in, you sit with them, you show them, they show you their design, you offer them suggestions, and then they pick the colors, and then you create a sample, and then they say okay, and then you do 20, and then they do so well that you have to make 200 for them, right?
Yeah, exactly like my run of 200 caps. So
Right.
yeah, yes.
That's the way it's supposed to go. Do they
Love
ever,
it.
do your customers ever ask you how to, if you could help them market their products?
Yeah, so I think and this comes really naturally to us, and I think this has definitely worked, and I think this does differentiate us from a male led business, is that I actually do all the videos that you see on my social media, I actually send also to my clients so they can start creating that hype before they actually get their order. And so by the time they get their order, they're already sold out because they're already creating their hype on their social media by the behind the scenes of their caps getting embroidered. And and that's all part of marketing, isn't it? Marketing 101 is that. Yeah. So, and I think that's just a service that we offer. It's just something that comes naturally to us. It's not hard to send a couple of images or a couple of videos that they can then put on their social media and start getting the ball rolling and going from there.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, that's what I love doing that kind of stuff too, because it kind of makes the customer feel. How do I say this?
Involved.
I always felt like when I'm dealing with somebody that I'm part of their business.
Yeah.
So even if they don't want me to work there, I'm still part of your business. If I'm doing your work, I'm getting into it. I want to know kind of everything you do so I understand. And if I don't understand, it gets confusing. And I know that like when I talk to customers and I have to translate what they want to Guillermo to design something, I'm sure, Guillermo, you can tell the difference when there's something that I understand and there's something that I totally don't understand. Because sometimes they're not expressing themselves to me, well enough to understand what they're doing. I guess maybe they think I know their what they do. It could be any type of business. I don't know every business, but it's hard for me to translate it to Guillermo, and I know that there's, sometimes we were like we're stuck, but helping people is kind of part of what we do because it also makes them want to come back to us. So
Yeah.
it's a way to market ourselves as, I don't want to say indispensable, but if we are giving them more, if you give, you get, and if you give somebody more than what they
100%.
ask for, then they rely on you, and we want them to rely on us because we appreciate them and we want them to come back. That's how I feel about our
Yeah.
customers.
I mean, even just the order of 200 caps, the lady's just like, I love seeing all my videos. It's just, and then it kind of, you don't have to then damage control when those clients are emailing you going, where's my order? Can you give me an update? When is it going to be shipped? Because then they see their order on the machines and it kind of covers you from like having to constantly go, oh, your order's updated or all of this. And then they can also justify why you're charging what you're charging, because like this run of caps, it doesn't take 5 minutes. This one has, I've had this one on 3 machines going for a good week because it's front and back, and they can see that, and then they value going, oh, she knows what she's doing. She knows what she's talking about. Like, she's using good quality machines, so I know I'm getting a good quality product, So I think it all helps out, them seeing the behind the scenes and really going, now I know why it costs this much. Now I know why, because I'm using AS Color, I'm using Madeira threads, I'm using industrial Tajima machines. It's not just, like you said, it's not like a hobby business that's using a little Cricut or a brother scanning, it's not like vinyl. But I think they just, they definitely value your experience as well, and also all the behind the scenes. And they do come back because, all of my clients are a repeat business, or they've recommended me. Like half the time my emails start with, hi, Emilia, you've been recommended by so-and-so, and so I must be doing something right. Yeah, it just shows that you care. Don't you reckon? It just, I think just that showing of you care and your brand matters. That's why they come back.
Right. Do you do any local marketing or networking? Do you belong to any groups or clubs or?
I do have a business coach. But apart from that, I did one market back in December because I was trying to get rid of stock that we had in the warehouse. But essentially, no. This is all word of mouth, and it's just crazy how it's blown up. But I'm going to start dabbling in paid marketing, some Facebook pay ads and whatnot. But essentially, no, nothing. No Google ads. No nothing. It's all through. 99% of my work is all through Instagram.
Nice. Well, that's great. When you do a double location embroidery and you're showing them, and obviously you charge more for another location, and you're saying that then they understand it. Do they ever ask for something else also, like oh, if you can do this, can you do this same thing on the same design on a shirt? What I'm trying to say is, let me get my words together. Do you have to redigitize for the hat and for the shirt? So let's say you do something great on a hat, and then do you charge them again for digitizing?
I do, yeah, because then my digitizer charges it. So, for example, I had a client who had a large embroidery on a T-shirt, and it was like 24 centimeters, but then she wanted the same logo on a hat. So it's not just a matter of just resizing the artwork file. Like, I know basic digitizing, but essentially you have to program where that needle is going to go. So by you reducing the artwork file, you're kind of like, you're stuffing up all of the way the stitching is, or the density, or like the compensation of like where it needs to pull and where it needs to push. It's not just a simple thing. So when I go back to my digitizer, I have to say they want this logo but on a hat, and then it has to reduce down to a maximum of 10 centimeters width. But I don't charge them the full digitizing cost, because essentially you have done most of the job. You just have to tweak it a little bit to suit 10 centimeters. And so again, all of my digitizing costs are a one-time fee, provided that artwork is the same on the next type of apparel.
Okay. It's like when you're screen printing having screens and film, we have to charge for the screens, but we don't charge for the film once we have the film.
Correct. Yes.
And then, of course, with digital, you don't have any setup unless you're doing artwork setup. Yeah.
That's right.
So, okay. So, wow. Okay. How do you balance maintaining traditional embroidery techniques with incorporating modern styles and demands?
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a tricky one. I wasn't quite sure what that meant.
I look at embroidery sometimes as like one of the most original forms of apparel decorating.
Yeah, right.
Go back to old-fashioned, like even needlepoint.
Yes, hand embroidery. Yeah.
Right. So how do you puff it up? Do you how do you make it look modern and hip and cool today?
I think I can't go into a shop anymore, like a retail shop, and just look at a t-shirt anymore. I have to flip it upside down. I have to go, why did they use this one? Or I rub my fingers against and going, oh, that's a puff print, or that's a chain stitch or something like that. And I find that gives me a lot of inspo. So at the moment, what's trending is a mix of screen printing and embroidery. I haven't personally done it before, but I really want to try. But the way I kind of look at it and go, good question. You've got me on my tracks now. I don't really. I just think it just comes naturally. I don't know how to explain it, but I do know what I like when I go over and over the same logo or the same job. I do like to split it up and do like my own orders, or I try and test out few things, or like I would use a client's logo before and be like, okay, let's try that as a 3D embroidery, or let's try this one as an applique, and just kind of test different ones. And I think that's what I love about my business, is that I'm not afraid to learn and fail. You know, I love pushing that envelope. Like there was one where, I don't know if you've seen it recently, where they actually put the foam underneath the sweatshirt, not actually on top of the sweatshirt, and then they do an applique almost, so it's like looking like an embossed logo. Have you seen that?
Yes, I have seen that.
Yeah, so that's new. I haven't actually seen that done here in Australia. It's all through Madeira. Actually, just did a reel on it, and I've seen it in all of like the embroidery nerd group Facebook groups and all of those things. And yeah, I would just take one day and just be like, I'm going to test it and see if it works, you know. And I'll use my own logo for it, and then if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I've explained that question correctly, but yeah, I'm always one to really try something and see if it works.
So I know like now a lot of the big companies, they're using, it's like a thick kind of a vinyl to cut, like a cut and heat press. So I saw it a number of years ago that
yes,
Nike was using it on their logos. And then I don't know whether it was Stalls or one of the companies was selling the material to cut. You cut it, and when you heat press it, it kind of puffs up a little bit, but not like a puff.
Yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, but it's a plastic. It's like a silicone or something.
Yes, yeah.
And it's pretty neat. So you can do that. You can do that with cut vinyl. That vinyl has to be that material, and I think some of them they raise at certain levels, and some of them maybe raise a little bit more. And how, like, I don't know how small you can get, but I think when some of the larger companies are doing it, like they're probably making millions of them in China, and they're very good quality. then
I
it's
think
like,
you can also do that with screen printing. You just have to put more emulsion on your screens to thicken it
yeah,
up.
you
But
can
yeah,
puff
that's
it.
just yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Well, with puff embroidery as well, yeah. So you just put the additive in the ink, but yeah, there's a whole different thing. And I'm a person where I think because I started my own business as like I started Oh Sweet Mama as a brand, I I want to suggest something to a client that would be on trend with what you see in the retail store. You know, you don't want to just be like, oh, there's your logo. Okay, I'll just put it on the machines and be done with it. You know, you're always constantly learning. I'm not an I wouldn't say that I'm an expert in embroidery. I love embroidery, but I don't feel like I'm an expert in embroidery because there's just so much more that you need to learn or you can learn. Like and like Deco Network or like Canva or whatever, every day, or social media, every day there's a whole new feature or there's something new that's coming out that people have tried. So yeah, I feel like
Right.
there's just a whole lot more to learn.
What do you think of social media now having something called thread?
Oh, I don't know if you saw my original post in Thread. Like I did it because I got on the bandwagon with everyone else, but my photo was actually holding a bunch of threads, and I said, "Well, we were using threads before it was cool." You know, I just and to be honest, I actually just started TikTok back to like this year. Like I missed the memo back in 2020 with all the dance moves and all of those things. But I just this year I was like, you know what? I'm going to focus on TikTok because I think the Deco Network, the online designer tool, would be perfect for the Joe blogs or that somebody who just wants to sit at home and create their own sweatshirt or their personalized hoodie or whatever. And so I got onto TikTok and I'm like, this is a whole nother ball game. Like this is just
Yeah.
something else that I need to learn. But I'm having fun with it. I feel like TikTok is a lot more raw than what Instagram is. Instagram is very much beautified, if that makes sense. Whereas TikTok, I
Yeah.
can just talk onto the camera and just stick it up there. And next thing I know, I've got 16,000 views. It's just,
Right.
it's
Right.
crazy.
It's crazy. It's crazy. One of our customers, he's a rapper on TikTok, and
Oh, wow.
he has a store with us, and it's all plus size women, and he does these videos, and some of them are pretty nasty.
Yeah.
But he has a million followers, and
If it works, it
women
works.
flock all over him and everything, and it's like I'll watch it, and I'm like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
like I don't know. Maybe I'll do something like that too. I don't know, but no, it's really, yeah. You're right. It's its own thing. It's its own thing. TikTok. Yeah, we haven't gotten into it that much. I mean, we do post a little bit. I'll take a post from Instagram and then I'll put it on
Reuse
TikTok.
it.
You got to do it again. You got to do it again. So it's just like a time thing.
It's time, isn't it? Far
Time.
out. Yeah, I
Yep.
totally
Yep.
agree.
Yeah, it
Yep.
takes a lot of time.
Right, right. So okay. But can you get on? Can you get on TikTok in Venezuela?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
It's from China, so it's okay. Well, Singapore actually.
I thought there was there's some laws or whatever, but there are
There are
certain.
some countries that block it, isn't it? It would have been like Korea, North Korea. I don't know. I might be starting something, but I think there's some countries that block it. No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think China blocks
which is
it.
quite
Don't
sad. Sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. China blocks it from itself, right?
It's probably a blessing in
Okay.
disguise, to be honest.
So, what advice would you give someone who's interested in starting their own embroidery or apparel decorating business?
I loved this question. Because I think I've said this before, we get a lot of DMs. What machine do you use, or how much was this, or what's this, or I think the person do it because you want to do it, not because you see it on social media and them going, oh, I'm going viral and I've made all of these orders and whatnot. I think there's a lot more to embroidery than just buying the machine. I think if I spoke to myself 10 years ago, I would really need to know why I'm starting that business and if I've got enough time and passion to do it rather than just copying somebody because they're doing it. Like we had a lot of people that kind of copied when we started doing 3D embroidery, and you can kind of see where their businesses are compared to to where we kind of continue to grow. By copying somebody, it just doesn't, it will never work out. So if you're wanting to start a business, make sure you're doing it for the right reasons and make sure you don't just buy a machine, say from China or something. Make sure you're buying that machine from a business that you can get that after service or, you do have that extra tech service in place that, that can come to you if you need help. So,
right.
yeah.
It's
And
so important.
yeah, but then at the end of the day, also, when you see these people on social media, like when you see me doing all of my orders, I did start from somewhere. I did start from absolutely knowing nothing. So I just see it, if I can do it, then somebody else can do it, So like, don't give up
But
when
Amelia, you really didn't. You were in business.
I
You
was, yeah,
yes.
I was. And I was in that promotional industry, but I didn't actually physically make those products until COVID. So, like, don't give up just because one jumper didn't work, or don't give up just because, but yeah, I just feel like do it for yourself and nobody else.
Right. So people can start a business without actually being the one who is making the product also.
Yeah. Well, you can see through our online shops, our online merch stores. You can create a merch store and outsource that to anybody here in Australia, really.
Right.
So
or you can hire employees to do the work and you run the business.
exactly.
So it's not just people in, like, you don't go to school to learn. You don't go to college to learn embroidery. You don't go to college to learn screen printing. You do go to college to learn graphic design, but you don't
Yes.
go to, but
Oh, really? No, not from Canva?
the Canva
Really?
school.
Canva school? The
Wait,
Canva
there's
Academy.
degrees out there. Right? I hope nobody from Canva watches this.
Here's my certificate.
I hope they do. I hope they watch.
I love you, Canva. Just stay on,
put that on TikTok.
stay on social media.
This is my Canva certificate. Oh, there's nothing on it.
Oh, what a shame. It's not Vector, Meryl. It's not Vector. That's why you
Oh
can't
my
see it.
Vector, is that? Did you say vector or was that vector?
Yeah.
Pixels? I don't know.
PNG file? Stop.
What was that font?
Poor Canva.
Oh, we are so bad. Poor Canva. They're laughing at us, though.
Yeah, I know.
They are, because they're going to the bank. That's what they're doing.
Yep.
And I have a paid version with them, so they're laughing. They've got the last laugh.
So, anyway. Okay, so we are going to start something new with you that we haven't done before, and I don't even think I told Guillermo this. Guillermo, my co-host, I hid something from you. So I love watching podcasts. That's my new thing now. I watch what other people do and questions that they ask. I'm learning a whole bunch of stuff about nothing. So I don't even know if I'm remembering it all, but at least I'm hearing it. Maybe it's going somewhere. So this one gentleman, he asks his guest, what question should we ask our next podcast guest?
Oh, good question. I think what I wrote was, at what point did you realize your business was no longer a hobby? So, like, when did you know that time was to go, right, I now am a business and not a hobby?
Nice.
So that would be my question. Is that a good one?
That's a really good one.
Good.
Yes.
Guillermo, you can ask Emilia while I'm writing this
I
down.
mean, that question got me thinking. When actually, when you know that your hobby becomes your work, the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So,
good question. Very good question.
Yeah. So,
nice.
yeah.
So can you answer that question?
when I knew that my business was no longer a hobby was when I think I did a run of, I can't remember. It was a really large, it might have even been a cap order, and I had that one machine, and I said, I just can't do this. I cannot do this whole job on one machine. And that's when I started doing a second machine. And I think probably also on the negative side was when I started probably disappointing clients because I was a one-man band and I was trying to do everything. I think that time when you start forgetting to order stock or you start forgetting to go, oh, that order's in schedule, that's been in my schedule for like 3 weeks, that's when you realize, okay, I'm not a hobby anymore. There's people placing orders that have events or that they have a specific need for those jumpers, and here I am just going, oh, I'll just do it when I want to, or I'll just do it around the kids or when they go to sleep. That's when you're like, okay, you're the big man now, or the woman.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, so I have one more question for you.
Okay.
Hats versus shirts. What do you like better?
Oh, hats are easier, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah, because we use tearaway for hats, and once you've loaded your hat on, you just have to cut, and you don't have to steam, you don't have to do anything. Shirts, for example, screen printing T-shirts is easy, but with embroidery, you have to cut the backing, you have to take the topper off, you have to steam them, you have to pack them. But I think hats have more of a personality. I think you can there's so many different styles of hats, and there's different colors, and yeah, I think I would say hats.
Hats? Okay. All right. Hats
Yeah.
it is. Structured
There you go.
or unstructured? I know. So that's one more question. Now I'm asking another one. Structured or unstructured?
Unstructured is trickier to embroider. You have to put the clips on, and sometimes they're a real big pain. Structured caps, they just go on easy, but if you've been on part of the Facebook groups, the Richardson caps, have you dealt with the Richardson caps? We don't have that brand, but if it's a really thick cap, then they do break the needles and it just gets frustrating. So yeah, so there's a bit of maybe like a fine dance between which hats you really enjoy, but yeah.
Okay, got it. All right. Well, I think that this was a really good time that we had tonight. Well,
it was fun.
You got to start your work day. You're already like you know what's happening already because you're in the next day.
If
right?
only I knew the winning lotto numbers, that would be great, wouldn't it?
Well, you're in the future, actually.
I am in the future, 10:30 in the morning. That's right.
Right.
I can tell you what the weather's going to be like. So it's good. I appreciate you having me on this podcast. So I haven't done that many, but it was a really fun podcast to be part of. So thank you very much.
Oh, good. Well, thank you, Emilia.
Glad you have a good time.
Yeah,
thank you.
So thank Guillermo. You were a little quiet this one, but
sorry. Us women.
Okay. I had an idea to own like a 3D printer, but now I'm thinking to own like an embroidery machine because it sounds a lot of fun.
And I'll be happy to help.
That's neat. Awesome.
There you go.
It. Well, thank you so much, Emilia. Thank you, Guillermo.
No, thank you.
Up late tonight with us, and thank you everybody for helping us spill the tea with Emilia Musgrave from Perth, Australia. Awesome. Oh, sweet merch. And contact you. How can they contact you?
Through social media. You can try on my TikTok, but you won't get that far. But yeah, definitely social media. Oh Sweet Merch is our Instagram handle. So yeah, definitely all of our stories and everything like that goes onto our Instagram. So definitely find us through Instagram.
Awesome. So like us, subscribe, help us grow, spill the tea.
Yes.
Bigger and better next time. And thank you guys from Spill the Tea.
Spill the tea.
We'll see you next time.
And my Canva Academy.
Your Canva graduation. We have to have a pomp and circumstance ceremony.
Love it.
Good night, everybody.
All right. Bye.
Good night. Bye.